This is a new channel I'm starting. We're going to see how much traction it gets, how much interest it may have. But for those that already know me from other scenes, I go by Shades on Broadway or Shade Smith. This channel's name is Shades on Voice. So the idea is this channel is just going to be me talking. I want to make a open kind of discussion, kind of essentially just what I think on a particular topic, something that I want to discuss, get off my mind. Could be event, could be something going on in the world, could be something politically, could be something nice. But the idea is I just want to talk and be open. So without further ado, it is a heavy subject. And again, I'm going to be kind of running all of these videos and all of these kind of ideas without a script, without notes. So things will happen, mistakes will be made, but I do want to talk about what is happening up in Minnesota right now in regards to ICE. So I want to get a few things like out of the way very early on in this discussion. So a little bit of background about me. Most would say or describe me as someone that leans conservatively or more on the right side. I hate this divide between left and right, but that is kind of where I lean in majority of cases. So we're going to be looking at, the deaths of Renee and the deaths of Alex here in kind of a broader scale, broader light. So first thing I want to get out of the way, I don't think either of them should have been killed. Now, what I do think is happening, and there's a lot of discussion about this. People have their own theories. People have different ideas of what they think is happening. The most popular theory I've heard, I'm not sure if I agree with this or not, but the most popular theory I've heard is that you have Minnesota, which is known as a swing state, kind of essentially battling between ICE and its citizens trying to sway the votes one way or another. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's the popularized theory. So I have a kind of a, I guess, hot take on this situation because I don't consider myself a extremely empathetic person. So I'm gonna jump into that first. When you ask me, should they have been killed? I would say no. And then if you were to ask me, do you feel bad that they were killed? It's also hard for me to say yes in that answer. Make you a monster, what it will, but hear me out. I'm just going to go through this train of thought. So I am of the opinion, and hit me, right? It's going to hurt to say, but go ahead and hit me. I am of the opinion that you can protest, and I want people to protest, and I think things should change. I don't think ICE is perfect, and I don't think, things are being handled properly by procedure. But what I disagree with is instances on either side of any physical altercation, any sort of political violence. I do not think that anybody should be interfering or instigating with ICE officers. In both instances of both Alex and Renee, it was proven, not thrown out, but proven that both individuals were part of localized groups that were tracking them, that were stalking them, that were intentionally going to different locations to follow them. Now, that is within your right to protest. My question is, at what point do we separate the definition of protesting and stalking, right? So I gave this analogy to a good friend of mine, and I'll throw it out now, right? You can agree, and actually in a lot of instances, I also agree, that what ICE is doing is inhumane, and what ICE is doing is wrong. And in a lot of cases, they are breaking the rules and they are breaking the laws. That I'm not even going to disagree with, right? So follow my line of thinking here. If I wake up tomorrow morning and I decide I want to track my friend's sister, right? I want to know where she is, where she's going at all times. I want to be there, right? I want to take my phone. I want to record her in a public space. because I don't like something that she posted online. What are you going to do about it? I can follow you around all I want. You're not on private property. I'm not physically hitting you. I'm not threatening to kill you. So I can take my phone. I can record your sister, follow her around anywhere she goes in a public space, and that's my right. That's my protesting right. Now, if I put myself in that position and said friend's sister, or excuse me, the friend himself says, "You're stalking my sister, stop," right? I can say, "No, that's my right." They call the cops. Cops aren't going to do anything. Now, if that individual attacks me, hits me to protect his sister, right? Who are you going to say is wrong in that situation? Is it myself for putting myself in that situation, claiming that I have moral high ground, higher legal, immunity in that case, right? Because I didn't do anything legally wrong. I just don't like what she's doing online. I don't like what she's posting online. And so as a result, I'm going to find out where you're going in public and I'm going to follow you around because it's fun. Maybe I'll call a few of my friends and organize us to follow you, right? So that's kind of the analogy I give. But you're going to say, "Oh, but you're not killing people or you're not arresting people." So I agree, right? This is where we fundamentally have to have a conversation. ICE, like it or not, is paid for, is funded by the government. Majority of Americans voted for them to be implemented, right? So this is where I think the line needs to be drawn in the sand. Protest, yes, right? Vote, yes. Any instance of physical violence, any instance of you interfering. Now, I will say that I actually deem what happened to Alex and what happened to Renee two very different extremes. Should either of them have been killed? Absolutely not. But let's run through the scenario, right? Renee woke up and intentionally put her car between ICE agents to block them from moving in traffic. ICE said, "Get out of the car." She responded by driving away. The ICE officer was in front of the vehicle, or at the very least to the side of the vehicle. He is instructing her to get out of the car because she's interfering with them. Now, was she trying to kill the ICE officer? No, I don't think so. I don't think there was ill intent there. And that's the other thing. I don't agree with the extreme right? I don't agree with MAGA saying that she was trying to run him over with the car. I think Renee was trying to leave. But there's important context here. When the officer tells her to get out of the car and she starts driving in that direction toward him, you can say that he logically had a fear for his life. No, he should not have shot her, right? You're not supposed to shoot people in moving vehicles if they're fleeing. That I can agree with. But who put themselves in that situation to begin with, right? When we go over these scenarios, it boils down to one thing. You can hate ICE. I don't like the way they're practicing right now either, right? But putting yourself in these situations, in physical altercations, and then getting either arrested, maimed, killed, beaten for it, you are not a hero, right? And I'm sorry to say that, but I don't feel pity for you by putting yourself in that situation. There are legal ways to handle things. I will reiterate myself again. I am not pro-ICE. I'm not pro-Trump. But I have been called a Nazi and a whole list of insults for trying to have this open discussion. So in Renee's case, it's negligence by the officer, but the officer will likely get off for a ruled self-defense, right? That's just something that I think is there. In Alex's situation, the government is understating what happened. Yes, he was shot. He was borderline executed, right? The government is twisting Alex as some terrorist, as some villain. The news media is lying to you, right? And that's where I cannot agree with these people on the right, okay? Even though I align myself with that side. I'm gonna speak in plain terms. If you watch all the videos, get all the credible evidence, there is zero doubt in my mind that Alex was there to kill someone, that Alex was there to execute ICE or to shoot people with his gun. He was a licensed and permitted concealed carrier, which you can do in Minnesota, by the way. You can do that. Should he have brought the gun to the event? Probably not. You shouldn't be bringing it to the protest to begin with. But that's not the point. You shouldn't be fucking executed for that, okay? Now, here's the problem. You have 6 officers on this guy on the floor who is very clearly just trying to get women out of the way. Yes, the women were instructed to not interfere with what ICE was doing. They did not comply, so ICE pepper sprayed them. Now, he is a nurse, right? Licensed and trained to do this. So he tries to get the women out of the way. ICE interprets this as him helping somebody that was instigating. Alex himself was not instigating. You can see he's holding his hand. You can see he has a camera in his other hand. So I do not condone anybody calling Alex or Renee a villain, a terrorist, somebody that wanted to kill ICE, okay? The fact that the government and the media are trying to spin ICE as innocent in this scenario is complete bullshit, right? Do not believe anything they are saying in that regard. What happened? Clear as day. 6 officers have him on the ground. He is holding his phone in his right hand. An officer slips, takes his gun out of his holster. Now a different officer who is on him sees an empty holster, sees a black object in his hand, says, gun. It is logical to assume that the officer thought it was a gun. Who the fuck carries an empty gun holster, right? Now, that does not give him the right to execute him, but it does give you, and it gives anybody with, in my opinion, any common sense, that a empty gun holster plus an object in your hand plus the context of knowing that he was there, in like whatever word you want to use, helping an instigator, being in the middle of the investigation, it is not unreasonable to assume that they thought that he had the gun and was going to kill an ICE officer. So does not excuse it, right? This was not handled properly. Whoever took the gun, whether the gun got set off, should have said he doesn't have the gun. It was handled poorly, but I really want to stress the fact that this is not happening to people that are not putting themselves in this position, in this situation. Now, I am all for legal protesting. I am all for freedom of speech. Go on the street, make noise, say fuck ICE, fuck the government, whatever you want to do. Do not plant your cars in front of officers. Do not jump on an officer, throw shit at officers. I also want to paint a very clear picture for the people that are heavily leaning on the left right now, that what is happening in Minnesota is that 6-foot white men are being profiled as ICE agents, random civilians, and this is happening, whether you like it or not. This is fucking the reality. 6-foot white guys that are just civilians are being mobbed, stalked, beaten on the streets of Minnesota because people think they're ICE. They are going up to people and saying, tell me that you think ICE is shit. Say fuck ICE or I'm going to beat you up. This is actually happening. I have seen many clips of this. These type of people need to go. The second you lay hands on someone, you should at least be locked up. The second you threaten someone's life, the second you get into a physical altercation, I do not care if you live or die. That is my honest truth and honest reality. So I hope that sums up my position relatively well. To go back on the Renee situation, again, I do not fault her for trying to leave and flee. When somebody is under duress, you have a situation of fight or flight. In her case, she thought that driving away was the safest way to avoid the situation that she was in. So no, she should not have been killed. But again, I really want to lean in this central take that both sides don't understand, that Alex and Renee were good people. They did not want to kill ICE. They wanted to protest within their legal capacity, within their legal right. They wanted to do what they thought was right for their people, for their state, and they wanted to stand up for their fucking beliefs. I respect that. And I do not agree with anybody that paints them as villains. So, end of day, I kind of, maybe it's just a shit take in general. You have to understand that if you want things to change, the way that these people are acting is not it. The more people that we have that are violently protesting, that are violently attacking people on the right, people like me. For example, if I were standing on the Minnesota streets right now saying anything remotely like this, I guarantee you I would be beaten to a fucking pulp, right? It's unfortunately, if you care to even look at the right's perspective, this is actually happening. And there's, again, it's extreme ends, but there are a lot of people on the extreme end forming mobs saying that if you don't agree with me, I'm going to beat you up. Or if you don't agree with me, or if I think you're an ICE agent, I'm going to fucking kill you. This is where it goes, right? All I'm trying to say is that anarchy is not the answer. I wrote a little quote here kind of to summarize my main thoughts on this topic. And it's, when people justify violence as an acceptable byproduct of resistance, you adopt the same moral logic you accuse the system of using. And I am, another thing, Charlie Kirk quote, oh no, kill me now. But it's, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence, right? We need to have civil conversations. We need to change things the right way. ICE cannot be handling situations the way that they are. They should be held accountable. The government should not be lying to you on media and saying that they are immune, that they have no wrongdoing, that they are God, right? That they are above the law, they are above the people, and that if you protest, that you should be executed. That is not my take, and that's not the direction that I want to spin this conversation in. I have like some notes, like brief notes that I took, but I wasn't trying to do anything scripted. I think we kind of went over. Okay. I think I already said this, but I'll just like re-summarize the point. So I'm not pro-left, pro-right in this scenario. I'm pro-accountability and common sense. So those officers should be held accountable. Both Renee and Alex should not have been killed. But I don't agree with them being martyrs, and I don't agree with them being heroes. There are many instances of things going on in the world right now that are inhumane, that are illogical, that are evil. And you are starting to see a lot of this happen in Minnesota because there are so many people taking photos, so many people taking videos. I actually think they should have body cams. I'm 100% for that. There is no reason they should not have body cams. And if these officers are breaking the law, and in a lot of cases they are, fucking hold them accountable for it, right? I think another thing that is happening right now that I can't confirm, but it is a personal theory, that they are rushing and expediting and borderline barely training these federal agents because of the protests and because of the things uprising. Something that you'll note, that if you just look at the past, if you look at facts, you'll note that we have been deporting illegal immigrants for a very long time, and this has only become a major issue when Trump took office. To be clear, I am not a Trump supporter. I don't like Trump. I condone that bullshit. But it's only happening because of the discussion. Everybody has $1,000 phone that they can record and take photos with and post online social media. There are a lot of instigators. There are a lot of fucking influencers who are paid to lie to you, who are paid to tell you half-truths. They don't want you to look things up. They don't want you to form your own opinion or for you to hold anything other than watch this clip that I edited, watch this sentence taken out of context, and get mad so that you can watch the next thing. There are a ton of people that are trying to manipulate things, and I hope that I kind of summarized both situations fairly, and that's my honest take on it. So, you can call me a monster for not feeling bad about the deaths, but you have to circle back to accountability on both the officers and their side. It's You can protest, and you should not be killed for protesting, but you keep putting yourself in a dangerous situation, dangerous shit is going to happen. It's going to come up. Let's see. Yeah, I think that kind of summarizes my thoughts on the matter. But let me know what you guys think. If this was like too one-sided, too one direction, I get it. But I'm not trying to be somebody that is inhumane, that is cruel. I really want peace on both sides, and I genuinely think that the course of action is to let ICE do their job and to not interfere and to not instigate and to not get in between them. The quicker they get their job done, the quicker that local government and local politicians cooperate, the sooner they will be out of our hair and we can vote for this shit to change. We can protest and get things done the right way. But until that happens, I'm sorry to say, I don't think that we're 1930s Germany or anything. I just think we need to let things happen as they are. Protest and vote and speak with your mouth, but don't put yourself in life or death situations, man. I want people to live. I don't want anybody to die. You know, that's anybody that says, you know, they should have died or that, you know, you're just stripping away the humanity of it. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. Feels bad to talk about it, but that's kind of where I'm at. See ya.